I left mine in the cars over.
Everybody got the microphones on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll call the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. If you will, please join me in a moment of silence to ask for guidance in our county business as it comes along. Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Stone?
Here.
Mr. Brumfield?
Here.
Ms. Deering?
Here,
Mr. Easley?
Here.
Mr. Merrick's?
Here.
Mr. Yeaman?
Here.
Mr. Craddock?
Here.
Very good. This hearing of citizens.
We don't have anyone signed up for hearing of the
Very
citizens.
good. We will skip that reading of item number 3. We'll come on down. The agenda is a little different this month than it has been in the past, but it's been advertised, so we will proceed with this agenda. If I could hear a motion for an approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
We've got a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Do we vote for that on the computer?
Yep.
Yes, Mr. Merrick's will hit mover, and then Mr. Yeaman will need to second before everyone else can vote.
Okay.
So once those two things have been done, you can call for a vote.
All right, hang on a second, I got ahead of myself. Okay, we got a mover, Mr. Merrick, so I'm showing a second. There we go, okay. All those in favor? No, excuse me. We've got a motion and a second. Approval of the agenda. I guess you hit yes. Okay. How about that? All right, so that carries. Thank you. Your minutes are recorded. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of the March the 8th meeting? Do I have a motion to approve?
so move.
Okay.
So moved.
All right, Ms. Deering went first, so we've got Ms. Deering as the mover. All right, so we need to switch that back over.
You want to hit second? I second.
All right, there we go. All right. All right, so the minutes have been approved. I have no chairman's report. As I said, the agenda has been advertised, so we're going to use this agenda. So after the public hearing and at the end of the special use permit, we'll come back and take care of old business, new business, and then adjourn. All right, so we will open the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. The time is 7:02. Pursuant to Article 5, Division 7 of the Pittsylvania County Zoning Ordinance, we, the Board of Zoning Appeals, have been empowered to hear and decide specific applications and appeals in support of said ordinance. In accomplishing this important task, we are charged with promoting the health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of Pittsylvania County. We must ensure that all our decisions and recommendations be directed to these goals and that each be consistent with the environment, the comprehensive plan, and in the best interest of Pittsylvania County, its citizens, and its posterity. Anyone here to speak to the board other than the applicant regarding zoning cases will be limited to 3 minutes. We will now hear the case S-21-002. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case S-21-002, IPS Solar LLC has petitioned for a special use permit on 62 acres located off Highway 40 East Gretna Road in the Callens-Gretna Election District for a utility-scale solar energy facility. The Planning Commission recommended by a 7-0 vote with no opposition that the petitioner's request be granted with conditions submitted by staff. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, a representative from IPS Solar LLC is here to represent the petition.
Okay, thank you. And your name?
My name is Scott Aronson. I represent IPS Solar.
Scott Aarons.
Aronson, A-A-R-O-N-S.
Very good.
I have a question. So I went out and looked at the land today, and at the entrance where it goes by the substation right there, goes back to a gate.
Yeah.
Will the panels be on the cutover property to the right as you go in there? There's some cleared land in there, and then there's some cutover land. Where are the solar panels going?
I believe they're going to be to the right. I have to double check. I do believe we're probably going to have a different entrance coming in than the one.
So when you say a different entrance, where's that at?
I'd have to look again at what the site plan is, but I do believe it's going to be to the east of that.
So the reason I'm asking all these questions, there are some landowners that join property, and that those landowners are, as far as their view from their backyards. So are you positive that it's going on the cutover where the panels, and I've looked at the map, and it looks like that's where they're going, but.
That is the case. That's where they should be going, and I don't think any landowner should be able to see it with and we're gonna. I do believe there's gonna be additional as condition to the approval. We're gonna have to have a whole bunch of landscaping approvals and stuff.
Yes.
Like that to make sure that's the case.
Yeah, I've read that in there.
You know more about this, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I would hope the person that's building would know more than me. So let me understand the road. There's a road going in there now, so when you say there would be a different entrance, because the people in that district, and I represent that district, would be very much concerned where the road would be.
Yeah, I do believe from the site plan I have to pull it up. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
usually I have a copy of it here, but my computer took had some issues with me this morning, right before I came over.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Let me pull it.
While you're looking, I'll go to the map also.
Actually, the access road will actually be on the other side of the substation, not on the east side of the substation. I think I misspoke. So it should, and if I'm correct, I'm trying to picture that parcel there. No, I believe I actually did speak on this. It will actually be, we will actually use the existing road with that gate going back. It's not going to be on the east of the substation.
Okay,
like I
that's
was
the way when I was looking at the map, so when you go back to that gate,
You continue. Yeah, that's correct.
the panels were set on the right side on the cutover property.
That is correct. That is correct. I apologize for misspeaking.
Okay, because that would make the adjoining landowners feel much better about this project.
Yeah, understood.
Okay, because if it was going on the clear land, then it would be right in their view.
Gotcha.
Okay, all right. All right, that's all the questions I have, thank you.
Good ones. Any other questions for the applicant?
Maybe I should ask one more. So, right now, the petition is for approximately 23 acres of panels. At some time in the future, what's the agreement for the balance of the 60-some acres?
In terms, you asked me, just to make sure I understand, you asked me what are we going to do with the rest of the land? Are you
Yes.
asking if there's a chance that we could expand or
Yes.
anything along those lines?
Those are the questions.
Yeah, at this point, I believe that that the capacity for the substation is going to be maxed out between this one and another project that we're doing. So I don't believe that we have any immediate plans to expand that. There's always the possibility for interesting battery stuff, in the future, but I anticipate if we would do that, we'd have to come back and talk to you guys about it. But there's, at this point, the capacity is going to be pretty much taken up completely for distribution stuff with this project and the other project.
Okay.
Ms., if If I could, Ms. Ragsdale, I'm of the opinion that the special use permit we're looking at today would be for 23 acres of solar panels.
So it is, since the special use permit has been issued, they could expand. However, if they were going to expand, they would have to go through all of our development process. So they would have to, we would have to review all of their erosion and sediment control plans. They would still have to meet the required setbacks that are in this, that if you recommend that you approve it with conditions in this condition. And then they would also have to include the landscape piece with that as well. If they expand the substation, they would have to come back to you and ask for a special use permit to expand that substation. So as it stands right now, if the substation is maxed out, they could not add additional panels until they came back to you and applied for that special use permit for the substation.
Any other questions?
Additionally, so condition 1 states that they have to show us their boundaries on that site plan. So if these panels were gonna be outside of those boundaries, they would have to come back, and amend their site plan before you all. Now, if they add additional panels within their overall footprint that they've presented, they would not. But if they expand that footprint, they would.
So question, I'm not sure if I'm out of order, but there are some power lines going through there, through the property. When you go into the property at the road, there's one just barely to the right. There's another power line to the left. The panels could not be placed under the power lines, correct?
My understanding that, no, because there's a right-of-way with the
Yes.
electric company. And in theory, you could run lines underneath them, but even that's relatively difficult, which is why we chose to put it all on the,
To the right,
yeah.
okay. All right.
Any more questions?
I want to be sure I understand what Ms. Ragsdale said. Is we're approving the footprint as presented. So inside that footprint, whatever they do is fine, but outside that footprint, if they expand that, they have to come back before this board.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, Mr. Ahrens, thank you, sir.
It's my pleasure. We're very, very excited for this project, and I really appreciate all of your time and consideration.
Okay. May I have some more questions for you a little later? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, did you say you had more questions for
I
me?
say we may.
Okay,
a little
I'll
later.
hold
If we
up.
do, we'll call you back.
Yes,
sir.
I'll wait until the end of the meeting then.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
There's no one here to speak from the public, so with that being said, we'll close the public hearing. The time is 7:13. All right. So as we know, with a special use permit, if issues with the location, project can be mitigated with conditions, we are obligated to issue the special use permit. And the staff has recommended 17 conditions. We've used these in the past. So with that being said, I'll read the 17 conditions so they'll be part of the record, and then we can discuss whether we want to go forward with a positive or a negative proposal. Site development plan, location. All solar panels and other above-ground equipment will be located within the project area shown in the conceptual site plan included with the special use permit application. All site plan requirements of section 35-141 must be met before permits are issued. Height. Except for the collection yard and substation or otherwise as required by applicable building code, the maximum height of the solar panels and other above-ground equipment will be 15 feet. Setbacks. Except for fencing and any pole mounted electronic lines consistent with the county ordinance. All above-ground equipment will have a minimum front setback of at least 60 feet from the center line of the specified right-of-way, or 35 feet from the edge of the right-of-way, whichever is greatest. The side setback shall be 10% of the road frontage distance with a minimum of 10 feet. The rear minimum setback shall be at least 40 feet. No setbacks are required between parcel lines of parcels that are part of a single project. Fencing. Fencing for the project will be standard chain length and at least 6 feet high. The applicant shall maintain the fence for the life of the project. Landscaping. The applicant will comply with Section 35-121 fencing screening. At the perimeter locations, the setback will include a minimum 15-foot wide landscaped area comprised of any existing vegetation, supplemented as needed with a staggered row of planted trees or large shrubs. The vegetation shall be evergreen and designed to be at least 15 feet in height at maturity of any new plantings and shall be a minimum 6 feet in height at time of planting. Existing vegetation shall be maintained and supplemented with new plantings as needed to maintain required screening. Prior to construction site plan approval, a landscaping maintenance plan will be submitted to the zoning administrator for approval, which shall provide for the posting of a bond or other surety in an amount sufficient to ensure that the plantings are successfully established and the landscaping is maintained or replaced during the life of the project. Construction, management, and mitigation. Prior to construction, the applicant shall prepare and submit to the zoning administrator a construction management plan to address traffic control methods, site access, fencing, lighting, mitigation of construction operation, and hours of construction activity. Road repairs. All public and private roads must remain open during construction. Any damage to roads caused by construction will be promptly repaired to pre-construction conditions and/or VDOT standards where deemed necessary. Erosion and sediment control. Prior to construction, an approved erosion and sediment control plan will be implemented for the entire project, and an erosion and sediment control bond will be provided. Stormwater management. Prior to construction, a Virginia Stormwater Management Program permit from the Virginia DEQ will be obtained for the project, including an approved stormwater pollution prevention plan. Operational noise and electrical interference. The project will comply with all applicable county requirements for noise and shall not generate or create electrical interruptions or interference with existing electrical or electronic uses. Operational light. Fixed lighting at the perimeter of the project will be limited to gates and will be shielded downward facing to minimize light spillage and shall be motion activated. Compliance. The project shall be designed, constructed, and tested to meet all applicable local, state, and federal standards. Decommissioning. In accordance with Section 35-141E, the applicant shall completely decommission the facility within 12 months if the facility ceases to generate electricity for a continuous period of 12 months, including all solar collectors, cabling, electrical components, fencing, and any other associated equipment, facilities, and structures. Prior to construction and approval of the entire site plan, a decommissioning plan will be submitted to the zoning administrator, which shall provide for the posting of a bond or other surety acceptable to the county in the amount of the decommissioning cost, not including salvage value for the project. Start of construction. The special use permit will expire unless construction of the entire project is commenced within 3 years of the date of the issuance of the special use permit. Survival. As long as the project is operated in conformance with these conditions, the special use permit shall continue for the life of the project. Comply with all DEQ regulations regarding non-point source pollutants. Chemical sprays used in weed control shall comply with DEQ regulations. fire and rescue training. The applicant shall provide annual training for the local fire department regarding battery storage. Members of the board, these are the 17 conditions recommended by the staff. Are there more that we need to consider, or less?
The way that the plan, they have the site plan drew up now, looks good, and I think that the adjoining landowners would be okay with that, with the ones that I spoke with. But in the future, if they decided to add panels out into the land that's clear, it would be in the view right out there, where they could see it out the back.
Well, and the goal is that there will be 2 rows of evergreen trees around there, and hopefully in some short period of time, if the evergreens are maintained, it should. The goal and the idea is to block
Yeah.
all.
Just one of the property owners sets up on a knoll, so even if trees is planted, they will see the solar panels, so. But where they have the panels at right now, it's off to the right, so it'd kind of be out of that view, which would be great. Everybody would be pleased with that.
Good. Any other comments? Any additions, deletions? Mr. Ahrens, would your company be willing, IPS Solar LLC, would they be willing to accept these 17 conditions along with the rules and requirements of the county ordinance?
Yes, they would.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
Positive motion.
Okay. I hear a recommendation for a positive motion. Any other comments? Okay, would you like to make a motion?
I can make that motion, yeah. Do I move it now after you read it?
Okay, there you go.
Oh, but you hadn't read it yet.
Oh, I apologize. Excuse me. Forgive me. Getting ahead of myself. Okay, a positive motion would read, whereas IPS Solar LLC has petitioned the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special use permit for a utility-scale solar energy facility, and whereas we find no substantial detriment to adjacent property, that the character of the zoning district will not be changed thereby, and that such use will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance. And whereas there are no significant adverse effects upon adjacent property that cannot be mitigated through conditions, I move the special use permit be granted with the 17 conditions recommended by the staff.
Move.
All right, we have a move from Mr. Merrick's.
I'll second it.
Okay, and we have a second from Mr. Yeaman. All those in favor, make it known by pressing your button. So did we vote? It didn't.
I got to move in a second, but I don't see nothing else happening.
Okay, it's not working.
Mine's not working either. Mine's going.
Oh, you went blank?
Mine has circled the yes, but it's not.
Check mine. Mine going.
Well,
Boop.
no one's is voting.
I need to hit yes. Okay.
There we go.
Thank you.
There you go.
Okay. All right, so it looks like we have a unanimous decision, 7-0. Thank you, sir, for coming out. Good luck with your project. You'll need to, pardon me? Thank you. You'll need to check back with the zoning administrator, and she will get you going. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go back to the beginning. Item number 8. Do we have any old business?
We do not have any old business.
Any new business?
You have one case for next month. It will be a special use permit for a recreational use and event venue.
Okay. Is that the one down on Motley's Mill?
Yes.
So we're not hearing the boat dock?
They withdrew their application to before Planning Commission. They requested to withdraw without penalty, and Planning Commission accepted that, so they will not be coming before you.
Okay. So we'll have one case in June.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Any other comments, questions, anything? I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn. We don't have to vote on that.
I done made every motion here, so somebody else might.
Got a motion, we adjourn. All in favor, stand up. Thank you all. Come on, huh?